Hello, my lovelies. How are you? I hope you're doing well. I see some of you are enjoying the game. Y'all, we in Wisconsin in the United States have had smoke so thick that it's been like when I was a kid, I was in Montana, Mount St. Helens Blue, the volcano. And yeah, that's what it's been looking like. So today we got some mildly clearer weather. But the wildfires that are burning wildly in Canada are definitely scary. How you doing, Elisa? Hi, Bonafide, Smudger, Nikki K in the house. Hi, Gail. Let everybody come on in. Come on in. Hope you're all having a good day, good morning, afternoon, or evening. Maybe a good night, wherever you are, wherever you may be. I'm in the middle of transitioning my office, so my whole house, really, we're making some big changes. So I got things all over in the background going on. You might hear noises. Buckle up. That's right, Nikki. Bonafide. Haven't seen you in a long time. Good to see you. Okay, y'all. Let me talk to you a little bit about some things here. Now, we covered the Jay Slater case till the last Inquisition. And in that, we couldn't understand who Jay Slater was actually with last. It never made sense. Nor could we even come to the terms to this day. I can't understand how in the middle of broad daylight in front of all the tourists, Jay Slater at 19 just walked off a cliff that goes 100, 150 feet straight down. I just can't. I can't understand in that case how the friends had the GPS of where Jay Slater claimed he was laying in a ditch, stuck by a cactus, but they didn't go to the location to save the friend, yet just simply wasted a lot of time till in the evening they reported him missing and never gave up the GPS for a couple of weeks. Never understood any of that. And now we're in the Nolan Wells case. This young man is only 18. He gets on a boat with his friends. They head out to an island, Horn Island. Now on Horn Island, there is nothing. There's no inhabitant. There's no shelter. It's just a mound of sand. And that's in the middle of the Gulf there. It's just a little stretch of exposed land. There's no reception. There's no docks. You can't dock your boat. So you wouldn't leave a passenger behind because how are they going to get help if they need it? And it's, it's duty of care is what it is legally. If you are the boat master, the captain of your ship, and you take out a bunch of people, you have to have a head count when you leave, and then you have to have a head count that matches when you return. Otherwise, naturally, we got problems. You guys, I just can't with this. So we're going to be talking about how on this small little lake, you can just look over the whole thing, island, Nolan Wells' body was found on the northwest tip of this island. And then you have to consider that that is the exact same location that his ride left, that he came on in the middle of the broad daylight. And there's hundreds of boaters. Like, it's beyond me to understand this, how Nolan wasn't seen after 4:30 unless he couldn't be seen. Had something already happened to him? Because you got too many witnesses and none of them are coming forward going, hey, I saw this kid. He was walking across this area or that area. Go back to some of our cases. Let's go back to Gabby Petito, and there was this Brian Laundrie. Brian Laundrie, like the whole world thought they were seeing Brian Laundrie after the fact. Like, yeah, I saw him in a car wash. right? People were calling it, he was buying groceries at the Piggly Wiggly. And it was just absurd how many people saw Brian laundry when no, they didn't. But in this case, in the Nolan Wells case, we got no one claiming to see this person after 4:30 p.m. Nobody. And I'm like, the only logical thing I can come up with in my logical brain is that something happened before that time and he wasn't up moving around. I can't accept it. So if we've got the GPS now, we know where they were with the boat. We know where Nolan's body was found, same location. They have to hot foot it out of there at 4:30 and they're taking on water, but then midway a trip, something happens and they can go up to full speed. And then there's just a lot to this. I can't. Yeah, it's a sandbar. Thank you, Bonafide. That's exactly what it appears to be. A sandbar with some grass. Hey, Cheryl Ferris, good to see you. Mystery Diva in the house. Niecy Marie, good to see you. Trish Gavin, J.E. Girl, good to see you as well. It's FIFA halftime show. Well, I just timed it perfect, didn't I? Yeah, you're thinking too, Nikki. Okay. So I can't get past that point. There's nowhere to go with this. If there's hundreds of people around, how come nobody saw Nolan talking to the girl even? You see what I'm saying? Like, is she part of this or something? I'm so confused. So Nolan allegedly took this ride with his friends that he was hanging out with over to Horn Island, like I said. And then at 4:30, they leave. But he says, I'm going to stay behind. Stay behind for what? The girl's leaving. His friends are leaving. So who's he staying behind with? I'm like, okay. And then he ain't got no way to get a ride back if he does stay. He has nobody to get him back to home because it's an island that you don't even have service on. What is he going to do? Go talk to strangers and be like, can I use his phone? Well, that's what you would think. But then we have no witnesses. So Nolan never approached anybody and said, hey, can I borrow your phone? I'm stuck on this island. My friends went that way. My girl went that way. I'm just stranded. Could you call the Coast Guard? Or can you give me a ride? Can somebody help me here? How the boy ends up dead and in the water and they don't find him for 2 days. Something's wrong with this whole thing. I know, Bonafide, I did see that. Trayston Shepard say, we don't want to see Nolan die. What did he see? That's what I wondered too. The weird way of wording it. Ma says because they were all drunk and partying, which if duty of care isn't enough, these are minors that are photographed with alcohol. How come there haven't been any arrests of the captain of the ship that was allowing them to drink? We've had Trayston Shepard come out and publicly say they were all drinking since late morning. This is just, it's beyond my concept. I'm not understanding it. Hey, Queen Serta, how are you? Van Britt says, I had hoped that the family would have allowed the police to recover his phone and the car for evidence. Now defense has a good case, like in the Nancy Guthrie letting go of her home too soon. Jennyville says, hi, everybody. You're catching up. Good deal, good deal. Hey, Sash. All right, let's get over here and listen to this for a minute. We've got the GPS to look at, too. All right, new details on
This
the
morning, we're
death of
learning more
Nolan.
about the Independence Day boat trip Nolan Wells and his friends took to Mississippi's Horn Island. As part of a records request to the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources, NBC News obtained GPS information for the boat. The records show it departed from a private boat launch at 9:56 a.m., arriving at the island by 11:14 and staying there until 4:30 p.m. An audio of a call around that time to a private tow.
Hold on. At 4:30 p.m. when they left, nobody else ever saw Nolan again. How quinky-dink. They left the island at 4:30 and nobody ever saw Nolan again. That's a magic trick, y'all. That is a magic trick. Now, I'm gonna just say it. There's not a lot of black boys out there. You don't think somebody is going to be like, oh yeah, I remember that guy. Just be honest, right? But nobody sees him after 4:30 p.m. at all until they find his body. Isn't that quinky dink that they don't see him anymore? And that's when his friends left. I just don't buy coincidences, and I can't get over that part. Yes, said he was missing by 11 p.m. after leaving him with the new girlfriend. But the new girlfriend was leaving too. And if he had been left behind, I'm sure he could have flagged down a boat or two. And even, let's say, worst case scenario, that Nolan, let's pretend for hypothetically spaghetti at the wall moment. Okay, so Nolan decides he's going to stay behind. He ain't coming back to the boat. He's going to need his phone then. Because when he gets with his new peeps, and then they get back on land, he's going to want to call somebody to get a ride. You feel me? Because his car is back with his friends. So he's still going to want his phone. Okay, another point. Let's say, hypothetically, that Nolan, even though his best friends, his parents, everybody's like, he would not have stayed behind. No, he wouldn't have. No, he was, I go with them, I come back kind of guy. But let's pretend for a minute, let's go out on that way far reach of a limb to say that Nolan was like, hell with my phone, just let them all go. And then his girl leaves him, and he's like on this island, and then all the boaters are there. He don't go get help. No. So he's there all night. But I have to ask, if he's there all night, don't you think he would? Y'all, is this going to come down to somebody insinuating that the boy was like, they all left me, I'm just going to swim it. I'm going to swim the 2.7 miles home or 4 miles home. I'll just swim it in the current, I'll just swim it. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like the Jay Slater case, where we're supposed to believe that he could have taken the path of least resistance, which is the road, where you could be like, hey, I need a ride. He could have taken a bus, which would have been around at about 10 o'clock. Didn't do that. Could have borrowed a phone of one of his friends, or even used his phone that he still had a few minutes on, because he had several conversations with friends, to call an Uber or call his mother back in the U.S. to be like, I'm stranded. Nope. Jay Slater, allegedly, this is what they wanted us to believe, that he just simply was like, nope, I'm just going to walk off into the mountains and walk straight off a cliff in broad daylight. Just walk it off. And now we're in the Nolan Wells case. Nobody seems to remember who he was with last. His body is found in the exact location on the west tip, right? This just is so wild to me. He'll swim it with Brian Hooker. I feel you, Mystery Diva. Bamberdia, there are reports of some people that stayed overnight camping. No updates on this. Sash says, I know, Nikki. Who do you think will come out first? Crump is playing the long game, in your opinion? This is just weird. You don't think, Jennyville, that he swam or drowned? If this man, Nolan, this young adult, had been seen 8 o'clock at night, 7 o'clock at night by any other boaters, anything like that, and his friends had left at 4:30, in my book, they might be in trouble for leaving him behind, but I wouldn't be suspicious that they did anything to him. But when you have other people that were interviewed that were there that day and say there were hundreds of boaters out there, and not one of these boaters ever heard from Nolan saying, hey, can I borrow your phone? My buddies left and my phone was on it. Nobody hearing Nolan saying, hey, I ain't got a ride back. I mean, this is just like a brick wall. It's like there's nowhere to go with this because I'm stuck exactly at the point of logic. And the point of logic to me is this point of time. 4:30, Nolan is no longer visible on this planet. He's invisible to the planet. 4:30, the boys leave that area. Something's very wrong. They are awaiting each other, but official what you think? Someone saw something. He didn't get left there, in your opinion. Thank you. Thank you, Bonafide. Mosby said, I think he was probably intoxicated and drowned or got pulled by rip currents. No one noticed because it's a party scene, and by that time, everybody was wasted. I can't argue that he couldn't be drunk. I can't argue that. But they would still know when they left the island that they were missing a passenger. And that would be a criminal offense. In the least, I would feel, I'm not a lawyer and I don't play one on TV, but in the very least, it sounds like neglect and manslaughter and a whole bunch of other stuff. And for it to be no foul play, that just, I don't get that. Cheryl Ferris says these boat boys took revenge for unknown reasons, in your opinion. The Jersey lady, hello, lovely. There were people who camped out on the island overnight. He could have gone and stayed with them. His poor parents. Queen says he supposedly didn't drink, and as a designated driver, says the teen friends. Like Nancy Guthrie, the timeline doesn't add up. Everyone was wasted but him. Could be. Summer Brown says, I can't imagine being in his parents' shoes. Why did they have his phone and keys and didn't report it? Where there's smoke, there's fire.
Towing company obtained from the same records request. The caller explains a mechanical issue with the boat.
We're thinking,
Yes,
can you all
Bonafide.
please come?
The towing company dispatched reaching out to a local captain for help.
It sounds like a bunch of kids on board on Horn Island, and he's saying the boat is sinking. He wants you guys to go out there and unpump the boat and then tow it in.
Records then show the boat being towed slowly from about 4:31 until 5:25 before getting back to normal speed.
Why? Did y'all catch that? It says the boat was towed slowly for 2.7 miles. Then it just all of a sudden returned to normal speed. What is that? What does that mean? Friendly reminder, please put in my opinion or allegedly, unless you have 100% proof. We need to protect our amazing channel. Thank you, Nikki. Phones or not all apps save video footage. there was no phone reception on island, but they left phones on the boat. But that doesn't make sense to me if he wasn't returning to the boat. If he knew he wasn't returning to the boat and that he was going with somebody else on a different boat, it would make sense then that he would take his phone so that when he arrives on land, he has a way to contact someone. Is that not the way you see it? Let me know. Let me know. The tow people could have fixed the issue, in your opinion. While they're moving, how would the tow people fix anything? Are they mechanics too? I thought they were just towers, just towing the boat. And how would they fix it if they're in motion going 2.75 miles an hour? No phone service yet. They called for a tow. Oh my golly, how did they call for a tow? If there's no phone service at Horn Island, how did these young men call for a tow? JG George, you are such a PI. You are so good. It does have a ranger presence. Then why didn't Nolan go get help from a ranger? Oh, thank you, Nick. Queen says, where did they transfer the teens to once they took the boat? I thought the teens were on the boat. And there were 7? 7? I don't know, man. This is weird to me.
The boat then
Something's
returned
off.
to its original location at 5:44 without Nolan Wells. Melissa Miller was at Horn Island on the 4th. She says there were hundreds of boaters there for the holiday.
It's just a big community. Everyone goes out.
Hundreds. And no one ever saw Nolan Wells. Y'all, how is that even possible? How could hundreds of people and boaters have been there and not one human being laid eyes on Nolan Wells after 4:30 p.m.? I don't even know if that's scientifically possible. Logic would then have me say that by 4:30 p.m., when the boys were leaving the exact location that Nolan Wells' body was found, that maybe something occurred that took Nolan Wells out of line of sight. It's the only logical answer. I mean, if you do the math, you're like, he's, 4 o'clock, these people talk to him. The girl talks to him. She's leaving. These boys are leaving 4:30. Everybody's leaving that he knows at 4:30. And yet nobody else sees him. It's like either he went with one of them and they come back and dumped his body, which I don't see that happening because everybody be looking for him. And so that would be really stupid because you could get caught with the body and all that. So that didn't happen. So it almost would appear, if I were to do my logical math, that something occurred by 4:30 that removed Nolan Wells from line of sight, in my humble opinion. Was there an autopsy? Yes, and the family has a private autopsy. We have yet to hear anything on the autopsy. We're both waiting. All of us are waiting. But what was interesting is a little news program was saying how, after the parents gave their presser, which I've got all that, after the investigation is finished, it may go up to the grand jury. And the reason isn't necessarily foul play. Catch the wording here. But when there's unknown cause of death. And I'm like, if there's water in his lungs, that would suggest that they would have went with drowning as cause. However, if there's no water in his lungs, then we got an unknown cause of death. Are you feeling me on this? Anybody else picking up on what I'm cooking? In your opinion. Thank you, love. Queen says the dispatcher didn't ask how many people they needed to transfer from the boat into the new one once they came and asked what size boat needed to be switched. I guess somebody said that there's more to the recording than a lot of us are hearing, and that they do say there are 7 passengers. I haven't heard it. Nikki says, but we don't know if one was on that boat. One what? In my opinion, they laid more than eyes on him. Thank you, JG. So the boat had Wi-Fi? I'm not understanding it either. Not released to the public autopsy. Moss says as of 1 or 2 days ago, neither the official or the Crump autopsy have been completed. Well, they may be complete, but they're not releasing. Queen says he didn't even give a name when calling the dispatcher. Well, there's got to be a lot of that audio we don't have. Another dry drowning. Something's just weird with that whole, like, you know, they would go to the grand jury in the case of an unknown death, unknown cause of death. And I'm like, well, you would need a week to determine if there's water in the lungs. Toxicology's got to be coming back pretty quick. But to say that it's unknown before the autopsy's complete, that doesn't necessarily bode well either. Unknown cause of death, it's going to be really, really hard to swallow when this boy's 18 years old. You see? And then the other choice, if they do go to the grand jury, would be as if it was foul play was suspected. So either situation, I'm like, I'm not getting it. Aw, thank you, Tammy. She says, love your channel, love your videos. She put in a comment down below the video. Sat says, somebody just said, Christine Woonsley, someone sent your video showing Nolan on the island at 4:30. Not sure, haven't seen it myself. If any of you get that, please give me a link of it at rubberducky2005@yahoo.com. I would appreciate it. Maritime Radio. It is a lot like the Kylie Rodney case, Jennyville. A lot. And we covered that too. Lord, we have a lot of history, don't we? Vicky says, hi, MD and all. MD, the guy big you showed yesterday, posted a video with a guy saying he didn't brag about a post last night or early this morning. No, that guy is a racist pig and disgusting. And I don't want to discuss him. He didn't have anything to do with the case, but the FBI did question him because of the TikTok he made. So he's disgusting. I hope he got charges for saying that. I don't know if he can, but JG George, sure am. No water in the lungs, no alcohol, according to people who knew him, allegedly. If they aren't releasing, they probably suspect red rum. Allegedly, quote, what happens on the island stays on the island. In your opinion? Carla says, when we bought our boat, it was a law to have a radio on it 100%. So that would be how they call it then, the radio. That makes sense now. I'm not a huge boater, but I've been on a boat plenty of times. In your opinion, says Jeannie, the MSME withholding autopsy and waiting on independent release so they can adjust their findings in opinion. Allegedly. Yeah, they don't want to come out and say something, and then, yeah, that could be. That could be. This is just disturbing, though. I don't get this.
And, you know, has a good time.
She also says it's normal to leave cell phones on boats and that currents at the northwest corner of the island can be treacherous.
Like, you can go out there just innocently, and next thing you know, the water's, you know, like kind of sucking you in, you know, throwing you back out.
After speaking with one of the friends on the boat, Nolan's concerned mother reported him missing to police.
Police reported her 18-year-old son, Nolan Wells, missing last seen at 3 on Horn Island.
His body was found on July 6th. His mother struggling as she plans his funeral, posting on Facebook,
this loss, this grief, this pain, it's different. insurmountable.
Bless her heart.
Now, one parent has also posted that some of Nolan's friends have been getting threatening messages. The FBI does confirm that it is investigating threats
And they are.
connected to this case, all while Nolan's mother is encouraging people to stay peaceful as she plans to hold his funeral next week. This morning, we're learning more about the Independence Day boat trip Nolan
it was
Wells
a
and his
rental.
friends took to Mississippi's
Kim.
Horn Island. As part of a records request to the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources, NBC News obtained GPS information for the boat. The records show it departed from a private boat launch at 9:56 a.m., arriving at the island by 11:14 and staying there until 4:30 p.m. In audio of a call around that time to a private towing company obtained from the same records request, the caller explains a mechanical issue with the boat.
We're sinking. Can you all please come?
The towing company dispatched reaching out to a local captain for help.
It sounds like a bunch of kids on board on Horn Island, and he's saying the boat is sinking. He wants you guys to go out there and unpump the boat and then tow it in.
Records then show the boat being towed slowly from about 4:31 until 5:25 before getting back to normal speed. The boat then returned
That
to its
is
original
weird.
location at 5:44 without Nolan Wells. Melissa Miller was at Horn Island on the 4th. She says there were hundreds of boaters there for the holiday.
It's just a big community. Everyone goes out there and, has a good time.
She also says it's normal to leave cell phones on boats.
But you guys, I understand what you're saying. So Bonafide said the west tip, where Nolan's body was found, by the way, features deep drop-offs and heavy tidal rip current where the Mississippi Sound and the Gulf of Mexico meet. Okay, but Nolan knew that. He's from that area. He's gone there many, many, many times. He would know all that. He would also, at 4:30 in the afternoon, had to have gone missing with nobody realizing that he disappeared. But at the same time, we have a scenario that he was going back with that girl. And that girl says, no, he was going back with them. So they're not saying Nolan was missing. But all the people around, the hundreds of other people, would have to say he wasn't there. They never saw him. So something's very, very wrong. It doesn't matter for me about the riptides as much, even though that could cause him to drown and so forth, as it does about the fact that nobody saw this kid at all. At all. This is just beyond my understanding. His mom is so strong and has held herself so well. This is different from the Guthrie family. Indeed. They go to the island all the time, allegedly. Exactly. He would know. He would know that this is a very dangerous section
at the
of
northwest
water.
corner of the island can be treacherous.
Like, you can go out there just innocently, and next thing you know, the water's, like kind of sucking you in, throwing you back out.
After speaking with one of the friends on the boat, Nolan's concerned mother reported him missing to police.
Please report her 18-year-old son, Nolan Wells, missing last seen at 3 on Horn Island.
His body was found on July 6th. His mother struggling as she plans his funeral, posting on Facebook,
This loss, this grief, this pain, it's different.
Okay. So let's look at this GPS here. That girl scares me. This one, she just freaks me out with her eyes. Okay, so when I pulled from CBS the things, okay? So we're talking about 9:56 a.m. that the vessel departs from El Camino Real Road. Okay? At 11:14 a.m., they arrive at the west tip of Horn Island. That's where Nolan's body was found. At 4:31 p.m., it departs west tip Horn Island. So let's go back for a minute. I thought that that's when they called in. Okay, hold on. What time was the call? Because the call can't be the exact same time as they're being towed. You'd have to have some response time in there. Does it ever say what time the call of the tow is?
Of a call around that time to
Around what time? Let's hear.
departed from a private boat launch at 9:56 a.m., arriving at the island by 11:14 and staying there until 4:30 p.m. In audio of a call around that time to a
So, how close are the... So they're making a call at the very same time that they're leaving the island, saying they're sinking, they're taking on water? Why would you leave the land if your boat is taking off water? If your boat is taking off... I don't get this. Y'all help me through this. This is going to cause an aneurysm. JG George, in my opinion, it just feels to me like foul play, having to do with jealousy or something with school, like football. Mom's gut is telling her that somebody hurt her baby, and that is why her pain is different. Okay, let's talk about this. There was some big thing for Nolan on Monday when he got back, and it was a big to-do tryout. Like, he had to nail this one. This was his last hurrah before that tryout. I'm wondering, is it possible that somebody didn't want him to make it to that tryout? Have we looked to see who his competitors in that tryout are? I'm just wondering, could there be a motive that way? And were any of the competitors that were also in this tryout along for the ride? And it just seems so weird to me. The timing's weird. Seth says, possibly. Trayston Shepard says during an argument not involving Nolan that Nolan was in the water but outside of the video shot. And that was at around 4:04. Because that's when the fight with the video broke out. And the metadata is showing that video that Trayston Shepard is claiming is him, where Trayston is saying Nolan is just outside the boat down in the water, would have been about 26 minutes before 4:30 when the boys left and were taking on water. I don't know. Something right in
private towing
there.
company obtained from the same records request. The caller explains a mechanical issue with the boat.
We're sinking. Can you all please come?
The towing company did
That is a good question. That is a very good question. That did cross my mind, but I'm glad you brought it up, Sash. Here's the theory. Has anyone thought that Katie's brother came to pick her up, could have been a racist and argued with Nolan and done something to him, etc.? Could that have happened? I mean, you know what's really, really weird is how did Katie get out to Horn Island, and why is she having to be picked up? I mean, it's not like she drove to Horn Island. She had to have boated to Horn Island. Did her ride leave her too? I got questions, you guys. Something's so wrong with this. That is a good question, Sauce. And Sash, I'm going to tell you now, I feel like a female is more involved than we know. Raven's life, because there was a rough tide, can't go fast. Okay, maybe. Moss, yes, but allegedly trying for Division One school. Summer Brown says, thank you for covering this. I believe the phone and Snapchat will reveal a lot. I hope the other young men's phones are being reviewed too. Well, thanks. I do too. I pray, but I would like to know why all the phones weren't taken immediately when they saw that when they learned that these kids had been drinking and boating, and we have a missing person. Right there, your phone's gone, baby. We're going to be looking at everything till we find the boy. We're going to be figuring this out because y'all are minors. You're out here on the water on a boat, and the captain of this little ship, you're going to be coming with me and answering a lot of questions. You know what I'm saying? Carla, I praise they seize all phones. Me too. Tina says, in my opinion, that makes a whole lot of sense. Eliminate the competition. I'm just asking because it's just the timing is so bizarre. Not only is it right before this huge, important tryout, which, I don't know, Crump said it was a big family thing. Like, they're all like, oh my God, this is here. So whatever that tryout is it important? But also, like one of y'all Private Eyes said, is it possible that, I mean, how did Katie, the girl, get on that island if she ain't taking that way back because she's safe, allegedly, quote unquote, right? Because the brother-in-law came and got her. Oh, that's weird too.
Dispatch reaching out to a local captain for help.
It sounds like a bunch of kids on board
Right, Jan's
on
views.
Horn Island, and he's
Good
saying
to
the
see you,
boat
lovely.
is sinking. He wants you guys to go out there and unpump the boat and then tow it in.
Okay. Somebody help me with what unpumping the boat means. What is unpumping? I don't understand that. I get that you would pump a boat because you would want to pump the water out. But what is unpumping? Have y'all ever heard that before? Aw, Summer Brown, thank you, lovely, for the $9.99 snooper chat. That is so kind of you. Greatly appreciate you. That is so very kind. Let me hit a heart and a thumbs up. Thank you. Gail says, I'm trying to keep up. Y'all chat's flying. Hold on. The captain should have made sure everyone was accounted for. He was the adult. Indeed, indeed. Vicky Lynn says, I wonder if there are sharks or other kind of dangerous things in that waters there. I don't know. Yeah, but they would know if he had been shark attacked. His body was found. Chase Gibson, one of the guy's stepmom, is a judge. True. That's why the word of these kids aren't being questioned, in your opinion. Thank you, Chase. Because she mad at public statement, boy's not seen him since 3. NZ Landish says, I remember last week, someone said Katie's parents went to get her. Did anyone else hear that? The sister made a statement that it was her and her husband or something like that. I'm not even going to quote, don't quote me, do your research, could be. But somebody went and got her, yeah. It's only a 20-minute ride to Horn Island. Wonder if he was dumped there and somewhere else. Oh. If Nolan did not have his phone on the island, no post while the island might have been anything relevant. Right. Pumping the water out, but unpumping, that's like I'm going to unpeel my banana. You don't unpeel your banana, you peel your banana. And I'm thinking, what kind of recording are we getting? It doesn't even sound legit. Maybe that's a real term. I just never heard of it. unpump my boat? Can you come unpump? Hey, Bob, you get time later today after you fix that donut fixer thingamabobber? You come over here and unpump my boat? Sorry, y'all. I get moments like channel characters. I'm joking. I just find that ridiculous. Nikki UK Gail, maybe someone else got someone else got on the boat instead, so it might have been the right amount of people. That's weird. I never thought of that. That's really interesting, Nikki. A village pump is supposed to be kept on a boat too to pump out water. I thought that too, but he could have taken some. Okay. There are not great white sharks, but other type of sharks. Okay. What does a village pump do? I know nothing about boats. Pumps water out like a sump pump. The Jersey lady. The problem with the boat was the village pump quit working. I think the unpumping thing is just the way the person talks is not right. Yeah, but. Yeah. It's important because allegedly this is somebody familiar with boats. They're a towing company, right? They're talking to the towing company. You're going to tell me that the dispatcher of a towing company is going to be saying things like, go unpump their boat? Something's weird. Yeah, we get you. That's right. Watch the video. Please don't advertise other creators in my chat. That is one of the rules we have here. If you guys can delete that comment, please. The skunk smells better than this case. I agree, Jay. I agree. They say the picture of the pool was taken in June. Right, Vicky. They're saying June 27th, I believe. If your boat takes on water, a village pump pumps it out. Correct. Freedom fighter girl. Good to see you. All right, let's get over here and look at this for a minute. So this just has me. This is where I'm stuck. I'm just going to leave you stuck with me here. I need one of y'all to explain to the rest of us why this is the case. So on 7/4, on the 4th of July, at 4:31 p.m., these people depart in the boat, according to GPS, on the west tip, Horn Island. 2 days later, the body of 18-year-old Nolan Wells was found in the water near the northwestern tip or west end of Horn Island. It pinpoints that Nolan was never seen after 4:30. He was not seen. No one witnessed him after 4:30. He was an exact point on this planet. You can pull out the map. You can go to the west tip of the Horn Island and write the word 4:30 and put a red pinpoint on that part of the map. That's the last time Nolan Wells was ever seen alive. And at that very moment, his friends all left as well. At that very moment and from that exact location. That's too much for me. That's too much for me. Somebody made a video, had police dispatch talking Elmore and Javon's mother. Tashima had going to locations trying to retrieve. That would be plunder. And she did release a little bit of an audio where there was somebody that was harassing boaters and all that. From what I'm understanding, is them trying to get the phone back. And they're not wanting to. I have a delivery. Hold on just a second, you guys. Sorry. Actually, it's my adult children are home. And do you people have animals that greet your family like this? Do you hear Lucky talking? I'm sorry, y'all. I'll be right back. All right, you guys, hold on a minute. It was not my adult children coming home yet. It was a delivery. But this UPS guy, every time he delivers a package, he drops these off for my dogs, right? Doggy biscuits. And that's why they make the noise that they do when that particular driver comes. Because they're like, it's him, the one that brings treats. Sorry about all the noise. Sorry. So sorry, ma'am. So sorry. See, Crow, that's what I wonder too. You say, I think, in your opinion, I think it was over that Katie girl, old boyfriend didn't want her with no one, just a thought. Or was it family? Is somebody right in chat suggesting that maybe the family didn't like that Katie, was talking to a boy that wasn't her same color? I don't know. I mean, it can happen. I don't see why, but it does. Teens don't leave a phone. If he got back on the boat, wouldn't he have had his cell phone? Right. All right, my lovelies. With all that being said, I want to thank you so very much. Humbly thank you for joining me today on the live. I am not going to get past this point until they can provide some understanding of how the last line of sight of Nolan was right there. And then that's where they found his body too. And that exact time that he was last seen is 4:30 at that exact location that the boys left at 4:30 from that location that Nolan Wells' body was found. I just can't. Somebody explain it to me, make some sense of it. All right, my lovelies, I really appreciate every single one of you. I truly do. And let me know down below what your thoughts are on this, because I'm frustrated. I feel like something's got to give pretty quick here. We need the autopsy reports back. We need the toxicology report back. We need somebody looking at all these people's phones. They were minors. They were drinking. They were out on the boat in the water. They were the last people to see Nolan Wells alive. I think there's some probable cause to be able to say, oh, let me look at your phone. How come they're not? Is it because mama's a judge? I don't know, y'all. I ain't giving up on this case, and I don't think you are either, and I guarantee you Nolan Wells' family and supporters aren't. All right, my lovelies, with that being said, I will see you again soon. A few of us are going to jump over and continue on. If you would like to do so, we invite you. I'll see you again very soon.
From the dust I was born, to the dirt I shall return. When my eyes are closed, in the shadows, my enemies will